Unit 7, Matter. Although we sometimes cannot see it or touch it, everything around us is made up of matter. All matter has two properties. Mass, this is how much matter an object has. You can measure it in grams and kilograms. Volume, this is the space matter occupies. You can measure it in liters. All matter has mass and volume. The states of matter. Matter exists in three states: solids, liquids, and gases. Solids. Solids stay in one place and can be held. Solids keep their shape. They do not flow like liquids. Solids always take up the same amount of space. They do not spread out like gases. Solids can be cut or shaped. Even though they can be poured, sugar, salt, and flour are all solids. Each particle of salt, for example, keeps the same shape and volume. So here we've got examples of solids. Wood here. Liquids. Liquids can flow or be poured easily. They are not easy to hold. Liquids change their shape depending on the container they are in. That's the container. Even when liquids change their shape, they always take up the same amount of space. Their volume stays the same. Gases. Gases are often invisible. Gases do not keep their shape or take up the same amount of space. They spread out and change their shape and volume to fill up whatever container they are in. Gases can be squashed. So here are the states of matter. So you have a solid, which holds its shape and has a fixed volume. We have a liquid, which is will be the same shape as the container that it is in, and it has a fixed volume. Gas fills the volume of the container that it's in. Temperature. Temperature can change the state of matter. So heating matter up or cooling matter down can change it from one state to another. Heating. If ice, for example a solid, is heated, it changes to water, a liquid. This change is called fusion. So water, a liquid, can change to water vapor, which is a gas. This is called evaporation. So if we cool things down, if water vapor, a gas, is cooled, it changes to water, a liquid. This change is called condensing. If water, a liquid, is cooled, it changes to ice, solid. This change is called solidification. So a solid changing into a liquid is called fusion. A liquid changing into a gas is called evaporation. A gas changing into a liquid is called condensation. And a liquid changing into a solid is called solidification. Mixtures. Matter can be made up of a single element. This is called pure matter. When it is made up of more than one element, we call it a mixture. There are two types of mixtures: heterogeneous and homogeneous. Heterogeneous mixtures. In heterogeneous mixtures, it is easy to see the elements that make them. For example, a salad is a heterogeneous mixture. You can see the different elements here of the salad. Homogeneous mixtures. In homogeneous mixtures, you cannot see the elements that make them. For example, chocolate milk is a homogeneous mixture. It has milk, sugar, and chocolate, but you cannot see each one separately. Materials. There are two types of materials: natural materials and artificial materials. Examples of natural materials are wood and leather. And an example of artificial materials, or an artificial material, is plastic. Properties of materials. Materials have different properties: hardness, resistance, elasticity, water resistance, conductivity, and transparency. Hardness. A material is hard when it is difficult to scratch or perforate. Diamonds are the hardest natural material. Iron is also a hard material. Here are some nails made of iron. Resistance. A material is resistant when it is difficult to break. It is fragile when it is easy to break. So glass is easy to break, so we call that a fragile material. Whereas plastic is difficult to break, so we call that a resistant material. Elasticity. A material is elastic when it returns to its original shape after bending or stretching it. Water resistance. A material is waterproof when it is resistant to liquids. This means liquids cannot go through it and they don't get wet. Plastic is waterproof. Conductivity. A material that lets electricity go through it is called an electrical conductor. Copper is a good conductor. Materials that do not let electricity go through are called insulators. Transparency. Transparent materials, like glass, let light pass through them. So for example, this house is made of glass. It's a transparent house, so we can see through it. However, other materials like wood do not let light pass through. They are opaque. So wood is an opaque material. Materials and heat. Some materials, like metals, get warm more quickly than others. This is because they are good heat conductors. So this radiator is made out of metal. It gets warm more quickly, so it is a very good heat conductor. Some materials like wood, plastic, wool, or cotton do not get very warm. These materials are called insulators. The use of materials. Materials and their uses. We use materials to make objects. When deciding which material to use, we match the properties of the material to the purpose of the object. For example, if we want to make objects such as shoes to stop our feet getting wet in the rain, we think about the properties each material has. So we want a water-resistant material, such as plastic, to make rain boots or wellies to stop our feet getting wet. Clothes and shoes. So which materials would we use to make clothes and shoes? Resistant materials like leather or fabric, they are soft and easy to sew. Tools and machines. So which materials would we use to make tools and machines? Resistant materials like iron and aluminium. Sometimes we cover the parts we touch with wood or plastic to avoid hurting ourselves. Electric cables. So which materials would we use to make electric cables? We use materials like copper and plastic. Copper is a metal that is a good electrical conductor, and plastic is an insulator that covers the copper and protects us. Construction. So which materials would we use to make objects for construction? We use very hard resistant materials like concrete or iron that can hold up big structures. Means of transport. So which materials would we use to make means of transport? We use materials like aluminium that is resistant but not heavy. The rubber we use on wheels adhere or sticks well to roads. Natural resources. Materials that come from nature are called natural resources. Some very important sources are water, rocks, minerals and metals, petroleum and coal, the sun, the wind or uranium. So water. Water is a very important natural resource. We use it for hygiene, for food or to produce energy. Rocks, minerals and metals. We can use these resources to get or obtain other products. We get aluminium from a material called bauxite. Petroleum and coal. These are combustible. We can burn them and give us energy. Here's coal, the sun, the wind or uranium. These natural resources also give us energy, lots of energy. So here are solar panels. so some more solar panels on the top of this house. And then the wind, we can use wind turbines to get wind energy. We can also get energy from uranium.